Howdy folks, welcome to Katie Phillips Scrapbook Designs. I'm Katie and today we're going to work on the cover for the Sweet Boy mini album. For this album, I'm not using a particular paper collection. I am using a digital collection that I purchased on Etsy, and I'm going to link to it in the description box down below. And I also looked into finding the Etsy seller that generated the clip art that was used for this paper collection, and I'm going to link to that product as well, because I'm going to be using the clip art for some of the ephemera pieces. The first thing that I want to do for the cover is create the photo frame. So I have used some Photoshop skills to create a piece of, let's see, what size is this pattern here? It is 6 inches by 6 inches. There's roughly little. It's actually more like 6 1/8 by 6 1/8. It was supposed to be 6 1/4 by 6 1/4, but that's quite all right because I also have a piece of, it's not chipboard, obviously. This is from a Raisin brand box, so it's cereal box cardboard, and I cut that to 5 by 5, and then I cut a 4 by 4 square out of the center. And we are going to wrap this with this 6 by 6 piece of pattern paper. And that should give plenty of space around all the edges to catch the background mat for this photo frame, which is going to be this piece right here. And in order to make the background papers at the same scale that they were at 12 by 12, instead of resizing the image file down to the size that I needed, what I did was I changed the canvas size to the size that I needed. With this collection of images, you will probably want to double check and make sure that your resolution is set to 300 dpi. When I opened the files, they were somehow set to 167 dpi, which gave me a very grainy image, but when I bumped it up to 300, I got an image file that I was very happy with. So first, I'm going to trim this out. This piece is going to be the spine. I'm going to trim this out, and I'll be right back. Okay, now I've got it trimmed out. I'm going to grab a pencil, and I'm going to go around the inside here. And I'm not going to cut this. I'm going to cut a smaller square, and then I'm going to cut diagonally along here with a craft knife because I want to fold this over and wrap it kind of around the interior. I really am doing this pretty much by the seat of my pants. So I'm crossing my fingers and hoping it turns out well. So now I'm just going to clip most of this interior triangle off, fold that over, and burnish down. And that's pretty much looking how I want it to look. If only some of y'all could go back in time and tell me how it turns out, because I'm curious how this part of the album is going to come out. Fingers crossed that it comes out looking as awesome as it does in my head. So now I'm going to go around and I'm going to glue all these edges down. I'm going to set this aside for a little bit and let it dry because I don't want to start adding the acetate with wet glue on it. That's a recipe for disaster. That's a good way to get glue on your acetate in a place where you don't want it. But that's what it looks like on the front for now. Actually, you know what? I am going to go ahead and I'm going to miter these corners. And I'm going to miter them just like I would the cover. All right, this album is going to be a chunk. It's going to be an 8 by 8 by 3.5 inch album. So I need, because I'm working with 8.5 by 11 cardstock here, I need 3 pieces side by side. And I'm going to add glue to this edge. If you're working with 12 by 12, you should be able to use just 2 pieces of 12 by 12 and glue them together in the center. And I'm going to overlap by about 1/2 inch because I don't want the glue to be on top of the double-sided tape. If that makes any sense, because then the tape and the glue are adhering to each other, which is not the most secure adhesion. I need to glue one more piece. And there's going to be no way that I'm going to be able to fit the entire album under the camera. Just no way that's going to be able to happen. I think this one is going to end up being bigger than the wedding album that I did. But hopefully I'll give better directions than I did with the wedding album. The only thing that I won't be able to show y'all how to do is the stuff with Photoshop, just because I don't know how to record what I'm doing on my computer. So the best thing that I can tell y'all is that I was messing around with the canvas size, the image size, some of the opacities, positioning, rotating things in order to get the pieces that I got. Okay, so I've got a piece of medium weight 8x8 chipboard, and I'm gonna lay these out here. Actually, I've got two pieces of 8x8 and one 3.5x8. So I want the 3.5x8 somewhat in the middle, and the two 8x8s on the side. And I'm going to use a straight edge to try to keep the bottom at least lined up so that it will sit flat. And if you want an in-depth tutorial of how to do a mini album cover, I will link to a video that I did of how I design and assemble my mini album covers, where I talk about how I come up with the measurements and go into greater detail about how I lay things out. So I'm going to line that up with the 6. I'm going to bring that over to 6 1/4. I had added double-sided tape all the way around the outside of the inside of my album, and I came down about 1 inch on both sides of the seams. Now I'm going to do a shallow miter on all the corners and try not to knock anything over while I am moving this behemoth of cover around. Bend this over, crease it down. So this mini album, I think it's pretty safe to say that by the time this airs, the gender reveal will be long done. She's got her gender reveal on March 6th, so this is probably not going to show up in YouTube for until at least sometime in April. So obviously she's having a boy. I think it's safe to say her name, so I can refer to her by name, but Allison. She's a fairly new employee on our team, and it's kind of fun to get a new employee and find out that, you know, we've got this exciting event coming up also for her. It's exciting for me because it means I get to make a baby mini album. Which might be a little selfish of me, but yeah. My daughter recently got married, and I'm still waiting for the right collection for her wedding album that I want to make. Haven't seen it yet, so I'm gonna have to be happy with making this baby album for a little bit. And she didn't have like a huge ceremony, so she's planning to have the big ceremony in a couple of years. This one was more the legal ceremony for insurance and other purposes. All right, so now let's get the mats assembled. Let's see, how are we doing on? That is dry. So let's work on the next step. So we got some acetate that is cut to, I think it's 4 3/4 squared. And I am just going to, first I'm going to clean my fingers off so that I don't get glue on the acetate. And I'm going to add a line of glue pretty much in the center here, around all 4 sides. And then carefully lay my acetate down on top of the glue. And smush it. Get some of those air bubbles out. Now I need to decide which of these is going to be the top, and I think it's going to be this side here. So I'm going to fold this over. Burnish it down. And glue. And I'm going to go pretty sparing on the glue here. So I don't want to get glue on the inside of that acetate. And I'm going to be spending a lot of time cleaning my fingers off. right, now I'm going to go cut the background image. I've chosen this little guy from my background image, and I'm going to cut him down to 4 3/4 inches squared. Okay, actually he's 4.5 inches squared, and got a little bit of a white border all the way around, but that is completely fine. That's not going to be visible. I'm going to start by folding this edge up. And just like we do with the cover, I'm going to tuck these corners. There's not a lot there, but I'm going to tuck it anyway. And now I'm going to stay pretty close to the edge on this side with the glue because that tab is kind of short. Trim that down just so that baby photos don't get caught right there. And the frame is done. So I'm going to set that aside, let it finish drying while I work on the other mats for the outside of the album. Right, I got 2 pieces. The solid cardstock is cut to 7 3/4 by 7 3/4, and this piece is cut to 7.5 squared. This is going to be the back. So I'm going to glue this piece to the solid cardstock, and then I'm going to glue the solid cardstock to the back of the album. I got to figure out what I'm going to do for the charm, for the spine for this one, because I am totally doing a charm. Just don't know what I'm going to do yet. Got to see if I got any like safety pins or baby bottles or something like that in my stash of charms. I think I do, but I'm not sure. And if you wanted to, you could totally do this part with double-sided tape. For me, it's just faster to do it with glue. A little messier, but faster. Make sure I got my stripes going up and down. And make sure that I am centered side to side, top to bottom. Am I in frame? I don't even know if I'm in frame. This sucker is going to be so large. But you know, this is her first baby, first child, and you know, first-time parents, they take a lot of photographs. So lots of photographs means we need a big album. And I just love these cute little elephants. When So she'd been with us a couple of weeks when she got her, or went down to get her ultrasound to find out whether she was having a boy or a girl. And she really wanted a boy because she's got nothing but girls in her family. And her fiance really wanted a girl because he's got nothing but boys in his family. Yeah, I kind of feel bad because she's only been with us for a couple of weeks and I already know what she's having and her own family doesn't know what she's having. But the only reason I know what she's having is because when she came back from the ultrasound, she had this huge grin on her face. And she's like, "What do you think I'm having?" And I'm like, "Well, you've got a big old grin on your face, so it must be a boy." And then in my mind, I went immediately to, yay, I get to do a baby album. And I had to ask her, what colors are you going to do for your nursery? And of course, she's going to be doing blue. And then she said she saw some elephants that she thought were so cute. So that's going to be one of the themes in her nursery is elephants. And that day, I went home and I went and looked for scrapbooking papers, and I couldn't find anything in the major shops or the major scrapbook paper printing companies. So I turned to Etsy, and I do not regret it. Lots of layers on this front cover. But I went through a couple of different elephant themed baby papers. Couldn't find anything. And then I saw these. And the little elephant with his little crown. That's what got me. And I still technically have one more layer to add in here. And you'll see it in just a sec, because I think after I glue this section down, I'm going to grab some white lace. Oh, I was going to do a ribbon closure. Oh well. Remember what I said about having to clean your fingers off constantly? Glue is messy. Alright. How is this going to work? I'm going to need something that can hold it down pretty quick while the glue dries. So I think I'm going to go... This could be a bad idea. Or it could be a great idea. We'll find out. One of the great things about printing a digital collection is I don't have to worry about running out of pattern papers. I can just go print more. Of course, I could have to worry about running out of 65-pound cardstock. That could be a thing. So that can be covered. That will be covered. Awesome. Now I'm going to go around the outside of the double-sided tape with some liquid glue. And I have no idea where I got this lace from. if I figure it out, I will add it in the links in the description box down below. I'm going to have to put some weight on that to get that to stay down. I can already tell. So now I'm going to add glue to the back of my photo frame. And you don't want to add glue to the back of this section here because you want to make sure that stays open so photos can slide in and out. Now let's add this front piece to the album cover. And there is a lot of weight on this, so I want to make sure I got a lot of glue. And make sure that I clean my hands off before I touch that acetate. And now I do have a couple of embellishment pieces to add to the back and the spine and possibly the cover. I don't know, the cover is surprisingly well embellished. I did pick up some adhesive remover from Dollar Tree, and I know it works on adhesive that's still gummy. So I'm going to see if I can get it to clear off some of this stuff that's kind of dried. It's clearing off some of it. Not as much as I would like, but you know what? For $1, actually I think it was $1.25 because you know Dollar Tree went up to $1.25. Inflation. Apparently they're experiencing 25% inflation. So I was going to add a little piece here with this little guy, but I may save him for, because I think that's too much. I'm going to save him for the inside somewhere. What I do have is this piece. Going to go on the cover, and this, I think this was like this part of the seal of a bottle or something, but it's the perfect size, and it's cardboard. So guess what? It's getting reused, whether it wants to be or not. And the last piece is for the back of the album. I am going to cut a small piece of cardstock to go around it. So I'm going to go ahead and glue this down on this piece of scrap cardstock. And then I'm going to cut it out. That came out exactly the way that I wanted it to. That is so rare, but that is exactly what I was looking for. So, if y'all enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to my channel for more mini album related videos. I release new videos every Tuesday and Friday. I will leave links in the description box down below to all of the materials and supplies, including the digital papers and clip art in the description box down below. And we will see you guys next time. Oh, if you have any questions, feel free to ask me. I will be happy to answer them in the comment section. So we will see you guys next time. Bye.